Repentance has a lot of characters, like a lot, 34 in fact. And while some are definitely stronger than others, I think everyone can agree that all of these characters are very different from each other. Whether you're a close-range brawler or a camping in a rock, all of these characters have varying playstyles, and they all have their own quirks and synergies. Some obviously end up being stronger than others, but in a single-player game that doesn't really matter all that much. The differences in these characters is what makes the game so fun. Even disregarding the randomness of Isaac, sometimes the biggest impact on your run can be made on the character select screen. A seed that might have been insane on Tainted Isaac could have just been any old run with Eve. There is so much depth in each character in this game that I think I could make an entire video on each individual character. You know what, screw it. Yeah, probably not the most riveting character to start with. This character is very often swept under the rug and forgotten about. I mean, think of the last time that you or a YouTuber played this character that wasn't just for unlocks. Yeah, probably not that many of you revisit this character, and you know, that's okay. You probably just played her for unlocks and then just didn't vibe with her and then stopped playing her. I mean, that's what I did. But you know what? I gave her a second chance, and I'm so glad I did, because I would say that she is probably my favorite character in the game, and in my opinion, the strongest character too. Now that is a very out there statement that you probably disagree with. I mean, Tainted Maggie, she can't be that good, right? And how would she be more powerful than a character like Tainted Isaac or Tainted Cain? Or for that matter, even normal Isaac and normal Cain. And I hear ya. And saying she's the most powerful character is definitely a little bit of a wild thing to say, and probably not true. But what I do think she is the best at is game breaking. I don't think any character often shatters this game to pieces as often or as effectively as she does. On the surface level, she's a pretty normal character. Tainted Maggie's stats are not too eventful, being the exact same as Isaac, but with 1 extra heart. And while she does start with 3.5 damage like most characters, she has a permanent 0.75 damage multiplier on all damage ups. What her main appeal is that making contact with an enemy does a high damage hug attack, and obviously making contact with an enemy will make you take damage as well. So to compensate for this, not only does she make the enemies drop a half heart on kill, but she also has these bleeding hearts, which while they do drain over time, they're refillable like normal red heart containers, but preserve your devil room chance like a soul heart. So as you can imagine, this character is all about health management, as she will only ever have 2 non-bleeding hearts, or 3 if she has her birthright. This is all really hard to manage, but thankfully she also comes with a handy yum heart. However, this doesn't quite act like a normal yum heart. Tainted Maggie has this trait that says healing items heal you twice as much. So things like health ups will heal you even more, it's basically a full heal, and more importantly, your yum heart heals you 2 hearts instead of 1. Now, I have a confession to make. I've captured Isaac, and I urgently need you to subscribe, or this bomb that I strapped to him will detonate. And while the blood will definitely be on my hands, you'll be a little bit responsible too, and you won't forget that. You could save him by simply liking and subscribing, so make your choice. Okay. Anyways, the doubled healing from items is honestly what I think makes this character so powerful, because every character can game break, but she can do it with just one single item. One simple yet amazing item. Sharp Plug. This is an item that took me a while to realize just how good it was. Not just on Tainted Maggie, but just in general. You get to trade your life for item charge, which is just incredibly good. It may seem a bit scary to trade your life for charge, but when you think of your life as a resource and not as just your HP, it makes this insanely powerful. When I was worse at this game, I thought this was a really bad item because I need my hearts. I take hits all the time. But now, as a much better Isaac player who barely gets hit, this is absolutely insane value. A very simple and very good item. But with Tainted Maggie, it goes beyond just good. It becomes the best freaking item you can ever get ever. Because Sharp Plug will take 2 full hearts to charge my Yum Heart, and Yum Heart heals me 1 full heart. But since healing items are doubled on Tainted Maggie, it heals me 2 whole hearts, which is the exact same cost to charge it. And a very important note is that using Sharp Plug damages you. And what's even more important is that Sharp Plug gives you iframes. During these iframes, I can walk into enemies and hug them, meaning you can become invincible forever, but unlike items like Nod Leaf, you still have your exact same DPS. You're just invincible on top of it all. So even without getting into anything else, Sharp Plug is objectively an instant win. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Now since the Yum Heart is Tainted Maggie's pocket active, or whatever this kind of item is called, she can hold a second active item without School Bag, and this is where things go crazy, because let's say you have an item like 9 Volt or Old Bandage. Suddenly you have either a reduced cost so you profit health every use, or you have a chance to drop red hearts for even more health profit. Now suddenly you have infinite health, and since you have Sharp Plug, you have infinite item charge. And that's infinite item charge on any active item in the game. And this is where the game becomes truly broken. Let's say you get deck of cards. You can just keep spawning cards over and over and over again. It doesn't matter how long it takes. But eventually you'll get a judgment card, and eventually you'll get a reverse judgment card. And then using both of those, you can get whatever item you want, which should probably be a dice because that increases the frequency of your rerolls. That's where everything goes crazy. Once you get infinite rerolls, you get school bags so you can have a spin down and a d6, and now every single item pedestal you find can literally cut and dry be any item in the game. There is literally no limit to this. Every item, in a sense, becomes a death certificate. And obviously, at that point, the run can be whatever you want it to be. Now, I know what you're saying. Those are a lot of very specific items. And to that I say, those were just my examples. This character with Sharp Plug can legitimately game break with so many different items. To my knowledge, all the activated items that help you in this game break are Spin Down, D20, D6, D1, D-Infinity, Dead Sea Scrolls, Crystal Ball, Deck of Cards, Book of Sin, Mom's Box, Data Miner, Everything Jar, Fortune Cookie, Keeper's Box, Lemageddon, Red Key, and with some exceptions, Clear Rune, Blank Card, and Magic Skin. As for actually getting infinite health / item charge, the item list is a bit smaller, but they're all very common items, being 9-Volt, Habit, Fanny Pack, Old Bandage, Gimpy, Shard of Glass, Bozo, Placenta if you have the patience, and Car Battery, but it's not really ideal in the long run because the end goal is to get a D6 and a spin down, so doubled rerolls are not exactly the greatest. And while these are all the items that give you infinite health, it's important to remember that things like Piggy Bank or Swallowed Penny help you get infinite money, which is really helpful as well. And speaking of money, something that you may have noticed is that a lot of these items, including Sharp Plug, are in the shop item pool. And so something that's very important to remember with Tainted Maggie is that money is your most important resource all the time. Remember when I said she's all about health management? No, she is about money management. You never skip a single shop no matter what. Even if you're not looking for a game break, I would still recommend always hitting every shop. And also fishing for those on-hit effects, because those are so busted on this character even without Sharp Plug. This character is essentially designed to take damage, so any on-hit effect will always be insane. I think what makes this character so powerful in my opinion is just how flexible she is with the game breaks. Sharp Plug is the only part that's required for this, and even Sharp Plug is kind of replaceable by Habit provided it's before the womb floors. It's just much slower, but it does still work. But every other item in the game break just has to be anything on the list that I mentioned. The amount of amazingly fun runs I've had with this character is really high, and I only recently discovered this character's power. There is only one big downside to this power though. At the end of the day, every run kind of ends up looking the same. You reach insane godlike powers, you pick up some Eden's Blessings, and you win the game. And you know what, it's extremely fun, but I just like to do one of these runs every once in a while, because breaking the game this hard all the time does get a little bit old for me. One huge drawback with this character though is while I do love the character's default moveset, and I do pick her for the awesome hug gameplay, every time I am definitely searching for that Sharp Plug, and there's just a touch of sorrow when I don't get it. Thankfully though, I'm never too upset because I do think her moveset is really fun. Ever since I discovered this game break, I instantly went to YouTube because I wanted to see if anybody else talked about this. And you know, there's some videos about it, but for the most part, I feel like this is a relatively unknown game break because it's on such an unpopular character. And I feel like the people who do know typically only know it to the degree of Sharp Plug is good, but it goes so much deeper than that. And I'm just surprised more people don't know about it. So if I was the way you found out about this, like, comment, and subscribe like a boss, and I'll make sure that Edmund McMillan puts a Sharp Plug in your next run. One thing that I think is really interesting is ever since Repentance, it's been a lot harder to get infinite item charge. I find Tainted Maggie is actually one of the only characters who can still reliably do it. You used to always just be able to blank card Yera, but they patched that out a long time ago. And even with the addition of Clear Rune Yera is still not really a thing. It used to always just be like you go to the chest floor and then you Yera batteries infinitely, get infinite chests, and then you get infinite items. That was like the OG game break, but that's not really possible anymore. I just think it's interesting how much harder it is to get infinite item charge. And so I'm just glad that at least one character in this game has that ability to spam get infinite charge. I would like to say that I'm surprised that this isn't a better known game break, but you know what? I'm actually not that surprised because honestly, this is just not a popular character. And even if you knew this game break, it still might not be a character that you want to play that often. And why is that? I would say mostly because Tainted Maggie on paper is just not that fun of a character. always losing your health over time, having to take damage all the time, and plus a negative damage multiplier on top of all that. Those are all just not fun things to deal with. Plus on top of that, this character can get pretty difficult after the depths floors because you start taking full hearts instead of half hearts, and suddenly you don't out-heal the damage you're taking. But I think that there's just a lot more to this character. Her moveset isn't designed to be a downside you have to work around. It's a way that forces you to play the game completely differently. She's basically a melee character that you can pivot into a ranged character at any time, which I think is a very cool and interesting character concept that nobody else does. I hope that with this video you at least give her another shot every once in a while. And before I wrap up, I do want to make sure that I go over this character's unlocks because I do find her unlocks to be pretty powerful and synergize with herself very well. She unlocks hypercoagulation and belly jelly, which are really good because it's either returning health to you or preventing damage. Whenever I'm playing a new profile, I will always prioritize getting these unlocks for her first because they just help so much in a run. As for the cards she unlocks, she gets Soul of Magdalene, Queen of Hearts, and the Lovers, which in my opinion are great, but not exactly good for Tainted Maggie. And lastly, she unlocks the Holy Crown and Mother's Kiss trinkets, which I find to be quite amazing, some of the best trinkets in the game in my opinion. Overall, I give this character a fun rating of 8.5 out of 10 Yum Hearts and a power level of 10 out of 10 Sharp Plugs. Thanks for watching, and do yourself a favor and play this character, please. Spread the word, people need to know, literally tell everybody you know. I will be making another video on another character hopefully soon, and I would say tell me what character you want in the next video, but I kinda already started writing the next script, so leave me comments saying what video I should do after I talk about Tainted Napoleon. So look out for that, and okay, sleep well, bye bye.